Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. Today I will talk about AVEVA Edge and two-factor authentication. As you probably are aware, AVEVA Edge by default doesn't include any option, any feature to enable very quick two-factor authentication for the security system users. But this can be worked around very easily with a couple of scripts and the email sending feature that AVEVA Edge has. So let me show you very quick how this works. I have a demo application here. In theory, it's a system that requires some user and password to access. In a normal application, if you're an attacker, right, and you have the victim user and password, you will be able to access the system. So I have the user, I can guess the password. Maybe I cannot, I input a wrong password the first time, but let's say that I somehow guessed on somehow discovered the operator password. So I type the correct password. In normal situations, well, if you click on log on, you will be able to access the system. But in a system that is protected with two-factor authentication, well, you will be able to also you will need to actually input a code, an additional code to be able to fully access the system. In this case, the code is sent by email to the user that is currently trying to log on. I have a database here that contains the user and email address for each user. So in this case, Peter is trying to log on, so the two-factor authentication code should be sent to this email address. And I have this email address actually open here, this email account. I go to primary and check, yeah, 1 minute ago, we receive a code. This is the code. Every time that actually I close this because I don't know the code, and I click on log on again with the correct user and password, a new two-factor authentication code will be sent by email in this demo application. There it is. For instance, this is my new code. It's 10,000 in this case. So if I validate, it allows me to access. So that's basically the application. As you can see, I'm using the email method to send the code. So you need the internet access in the AVEVA station in order to make this work. But if you don't have internet access on the AVEVA station, this can be implemented over cellular networks as well. So you can connect a GSM or a 3G or 4G modem to AVEVA Edge using the TXRX driver, and very easily with 80 commands send all these codes to a cell phone number instead of an email address. And you won't need internet access for that because the modem that is connected to the cellular network will be able to handle the text messages that you are going to send. But to demonstrate this theory, well, I just wanted to use very quick the email functionality. How that works, let me show you that very quick. I configure a sender email here. So I created a new account, AVEVA2FA at gmail.com. I'm using the Gmail SMTP service, TLS encryption for that. So that's the sender. That's why when you check the email sender that is sending the code, it's aviveg2f8 at gmail.com. That's the email that I configure here. So that's half of the configuration. The other half is this math worksheet that I have here. So this math worksheet is basically 3 lines of code. One line to generate the authentication code. I'm using the rand function. It generates random numbers from 0 to 1 and multiplying this number by a big number, and we get at the end a big integer that can be used as authentication code, right? And the number changes every time that this script is executed, and it's random, so we don't know what the code will be. Then we query a database. This dbselect function checks the user's table and tries to get the email address for the user that is trying to log on. So here I have the email addresses for the users that are configuring my security system. You might want to keep this SQL server secure, right? It can be a SQL server, it can be an encrypted text file, it can be anything. It can be a web service, what works better for you, but the idea is to have this information outside the AVEVA Edge security system, right? So it can be queried by the application, and you can get email address for the user. Then what we are doing is sending an email to the user email that we obtain from the database with the authentication code that we generated here, and with the text or with the subject 2FA code to access SCADA. That's what we have actually here, 2FA code to access SCADA. And that's basically it. That's the code that makes this work. More than that, I have some basic scripts on the main window to open a screen that is logon. This screen logon, it's a manual execution of the logon function. I have my user and my password on these fields, and my user and my password are evaluated in the logon function. If the logon is executed successfully, then we execute our two-factor authentication notification process. That is the math worksheet that you showed some minutes ago. Then open the 2FA screen that is ready to receive the two-factor authentication code that was previously sent, right? And then checking if the user is blocked or the user of the information input is wrong, etc. Very, very fast here, very simple. So it opens the 2FA screen. The 2FA screen has this authentication code validation tag in the text box. So that's the input for you for the code that you will be receiving by email. In the validate function, in the validate button, what we are doing is comparing the authentication code that we generated, the last code generated, with the authentication code validation that you will be input here, the input that you will do here. And if that is fine, that the validation or the comparison of both codes is true, we will open the operations button. Otherwise, we will report that the code is invalid. So operations screen is this. In theory, this is your operations screen where your process is running there, where you have the buttons to do things. But here, this is just a quick example. It says access granted, hello, and the username. So that's basically it. That's what the application does. And one more time, if I'm an attacker and I do have your password, I will need the two-factor authentication code to grant and to get access, to get the real access to your system. If I put a very random code that it doesn't work, that is something that I didn't receive, and I'm guessing your two-factor authentication code, well, that won't work. I need to put the code that you received by email in order to properly access to the system. This demo application can be obtained from AVEVA support. You can request the demo application with this name to FA. Support will be happy to share this with you in case you want to take a deeper look into the application. And I hope this video helped to understand the concept of two-factor authentication with AVEVA Edge. Well, thank you for watching the video and have a good day.